pleasure of this beer doesn't fade after one glass or two.
It takes a lot more than atmosphere to satisfy folks with a taste for the past.
For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the place.
Do you remember those classic beers from the 70s that seemed to vanish into thin air? Well, it's time to remember and maybe even bring them back. From flavorful ales to refreshing lagers, these beers were once the talk of the town, but have sadly faded into obscurity. However, their unique taste and iconic branding still linger in the minds of those who enjoy them. As we look back on the golden era of brewing, there's a growing desire to resurrect these lost treasures and savor their flavors again. So join us to rediscover 20 forgotten beers from the 1970s that we want back.
They brew it into Ballantine for flavor genuine.
It's got that golden flavor, true ale flavor. Oh, that Ballantine.
Number 1. Ballantine Triple X Ale. Ballantine Triple X Ale was a brew by the P. Ballantine & Sons Brewing Company, founded in 1820 in Newark, New Jersey. The Triple X wasn't a reference to anything spicy, but rather a nickname that stuck after it won 3 gold medals at international exhibitions in the early 1900s. In the 1970s, Ballantine Triple X Ale was a major player, riding high alongside other popular American beers of the time. Industry sources estimate Ballantine Triple X Ale sales were down to around 500,000 barrels in 1970. However, by the late 1990s, the Ballantine Brewery was acquired by InBev, a large brewing conglomerate.
Golden mellow, Ballantine beer.
InBev's focus shifted away from Ballantine Triple X Ale, and it was eventually discontinued in the early 2000s. Despite its appearance, Ballantine Triple X Ale is still fondly remembered by some beer drinkers, and there have even been rumors of a possible comeback. As the last sips of Ballantine Triple X Ale fade into memory, what fate awaits another iconic brew like Rheingold beer? Will its legacy endure like Ballantine's, or will it vanish into the annals of brewing history like so many others?
On the road to Mandalay, the bays do it. So do it. Enjoy Rheingold beer.
Number 2. Rheingold beer. Rheingold beer was brewed by the Rheingold Brewery, founded in Brooklyn in 1883. It was a popular choice for decades, known for its crisp, dry taste and clever marketing. Rheingold wasn't shy about its German heritage, with a name referencing the Rhine River and a logo featuring a mythic maiden. In the 1950s and 60s, Rheingold reigned supreme on the East Coast, especially in its New York hometown.
They all enjoy Rheingold beer.
Friendly, freshening, happily dry.
No other beer is like Rheingold.
Their advertising was legendary, featuring catchy jingles, the popular Miss Rheingold beauty pageant, and even appearances by celebrities like Jackie Robinson and John Wayne. However, by the 1970s, Rheingold's grip started to loosen. National competition intensified, and consumer taste shifted towards lighter beers. The Rheingold Brewery closed in 1976, and the brand sputtered under different owners before disappearing in the 1980s.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Number 3. Schaefer beer. Schaefer beer, a New York favorite with a long history, was brewed by the F&M Schaefer Brewing Company. Founded in 1842 by German immigrant brothers, Schaefer brought the lager style, then unheard of in the U.S., to thirsty New Yorkers. The beer was known for being easy drinking and affordable, brewed with a classic blend of malts and hops. Schaefer's popularity soared throughout the 20th century. By the 1970s, it was a national brand, boasting sales in the millions of barrels. Interestingly, Schaefer held the record for the most beer sold in Puerto Rico during the 1970s, a whopping 13 million cases in a year. Their success was fueled by clever marketing and a strong connection to blue-collar workers.
A Schaefer thirst. Schaefer always gives me what I want from a beer, a crisp, smooth taste that's always satisfying.
However, Schaefer's fortunes changed hands in the 1980s with a series of acquisitions. The brand eventually landed with the Pabst Brewing Company, which continues to produce Schaefer today. While still available in some areas, it's no longer the national powerhouse it once was.
Pabst Blue Ribbon from the very first round. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon.
What'll you have?
Pabst Blue Ribbon. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Number 4. Pabst Blue Ribbon. Pabst Blue Ribbon had a different story before its cool factor comeback. Originally brewed by the Pabst Brewing Company, founded in 1844 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Pabst Blue Ribbon was a staple for budget-minded beer drinkers. The Blue Ribbon wasn't a fancy award, but a marketing tactic referencing early 20th century blue ribbons awarded at county fairs. While not a high-end brew, Pabst Blue Ribbon was known for its consistent quality and affordability.
Taste that smoother flavor.
Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. Finest beer served anywhere. Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
In the 1970s, it was a major player, selling millions of barrels annually. However, by the 1980s and 90s, consumer taste shifted towards lighter beers and flashier brands. Pabst Blue Ribbon's image became associated with being a cheap option, and sales slumped. The brand nearly faded into obscurity. Ironically, this decline paved the way for its unexpected return. Pabst's low price point attracted a new generation of budget-conscious drinkers seeking a no-frills beer in the early 2000s. This, combined with a clever marketing campaign that embraced Pabst Blue Ribbon's blue-collar roots, led to its surprising resurgence in popularity. The tale of Pabst Blue Ribbon's rise and fall echoes through the halls of brewing history. But did Falstaff beer face a similar twist of fate? Will its once mighty legacy be resurrected, or will it remain lost in the annals of forgotten brews like so many others?
There's light-hearted living in light-hearted Falstaff beer.
Number 5. Falstaff beer. Falstaff beer, once a major contender in the American brewing scene, was brewed by the Falstaff Brewing Corporation, founded in 1903 in St. Louis, Missouri. Named after a character from Shakespeare, Falstaff was an American lager known for being smooth and inoffensive. While exact sales figures are fuzzy, by the 1960s, Falstaff was a powerhouse, reaching its peak in 1965 with a staggering 7 million barrels brewed in a single year.
Charlie, another Falstaff, please.
Back then, Falstaff was considered a premium beer, sponsoring sporting events and boasting a classier image than some competitors.
America's premium quality beer. Sing out now, the time is here for cool, refreshing Falstaff.
However, the 1970s brought a shift in the industry. Consolidation among breweries intensified, and lighter lagers started dominating the market. Falstaff was slow to adapt and struggled to keep pace. Ownership changes and production shutdowns followed throughout the 1970s and 80s. Although Pabst Brewing Company now owns the rights, Falstaff went out of production in 2005.
Are switching to Burger. It's brewed for a man's taste, brewed to be the finest beer in the world today.
Number 6. Burger beer. Burger beer was a popular brew in the Midwest during the 1970s, courtesy of the Burger Brewing Company. Founded in 1852 in St. Louis, Missouri, Burger Brewing was known for its lagers and malt liquors. It was a regional favorite, particularly in the Midwest, and its catchy advertising slogan, Burger Beer, it's the Burgermeister, helped solidify brand recognition.
So pour him the smooth beer, one of a kind. Burger, the best tasting beer you can find. You never had it so smooth.
Despite its regional success, Burger Brewing Company faced financial difficulties throughout the 70s and 80s. The company eventually ceased production in the early 1990s, and the Burger Beer brand faded into obscurity. Despite this, some beer enthusiasts still remember Burger Beer fondly, and there's a certain allure to its classic American brewing heritage.
Hey, man, we'll trade you 2 cases of our beer for one of those.
Hey, you gotta be kidding.
Number 7. Stroh's Bohemian Style Beer. Stroh's Bohemian Style Beer, a taste of Detroit history, was brewed by the Stroh Brewery Company. Founded in 1850 by Bernhard Stroh, a German immigrant, Stroh's quickly became a Detroit staple. Their Bohemian-style beer was an homage to Stroh's family brewing heritage, boasting a crisp, clean taste and a unique amber color. Stroh's marketing campaigns often capitalized on the beer's Bohemian roots, emphasizing its European connection. However, the company struggled to adapt to changing consumer preferences in the 1980s and 90s, as lighter lagers and flashier brands took center stage. Stroh's Bohemian-style beer was eventually discontinued in the late 20th century, and the Stroh Brewery Company itself was acquired by Pabst Brewing in 1985. After the amber hues of Stroh's Bohemian-style beer fade into memory, did Olympia beer face a similar struggle against the tide of changing taste? Like Stroh's, will its legacy become a relic of regional brewing history, or will it endure as a timeless symbol of the Pacific Northwest brewing heritage?
But Olympia wouldn't change a word. And that's why I changed to Oli.
A great beer doesn't change and Oli never will.
Number 8. Olympia Beer. Olympia Beer, a West Coast icon, was brewed by the Olympia Brewing Company, founded in 1896 in Turnwater, Washington. This crisp, pale lager was known for its refreshing taste and connection to the Pacific Northwest. The company famously touted the pure water from the Turnwater Falls as a key ingredient, with the slogan, "It's the water."
Olympia, it's the water, and a lot more.
Olympia Beer was a major player in American brewing history, especially throughout the West and Pacific Northwest. Their marketing capitalized on the region's national beauty, often featuring imagery of mountains and evergreens. At its peak, Olympia Beer was a beloved choice for many on the West Coast. However, increased competition from national brands in the 70s and 80s took its toll. Miller Brewing Company acquired the Olympia Brewing Company in 1983, and Olympia beer production eventually ceased in the early 2000s.
The water here makes pearl beer, first in the heart of Texas.
Number 9. Pearl Beer. Pearl Beer, a Texas treasure from San Antonio, was brewed by the Pearl Brewing Company. Founded in the 1880s by various owners, Pearl's story is intertwined with the city's growth. Their signature brew was a German-style lager known for being smooth and easy drinking. By the 1970s, Pearl was a Texas powerhouse, selling millions of barrels a year and becoming the state's biggest brewery.
Brews a Texas tradition, Pearl.
Pearl's success stemmed in part from its down-to-earth Texan identity. Their commercials often featured real people enjoying a Pearl after a hard day's work, solidifying their connection to the local community. However, by the late 1990s, the Pearl Brewing Company was acquired by a large conglomerate, InBev. InBev's focus shifted away from Pearl, and production eventually ceased in 2001. Interestingly, the Pearl brand has been revived under new ownership in recent years, offering a fresh take on some classic Pearl brews and a chance to recapture its former glory. The echoes of Pearl Beer's Texan charm linger. However, did Billy Beer's fleeting fame face a fate akin to Pearl's rise and fall?
Billy Beer!
Number 10. Billy Beer. Billy Beer was a novelty brew of the 1970s, more famous for its namesake than its taste. Brewed by the Falls City Brewing Company of Louisville, Kentucky, Billy Beer was the brainchild of Billy Carter, the younger brother of then-President Jimmy Carter. Billy Beer gained national attention due to its connection to the White House. Billy, known for his flamboyant personality, enthusiastically promoted the beer, with each can boasting a signature and claiming, "I had this beer brewed just for me. It's the best beer I've ever tasted, and I've tasted a lot." Despite the hype, Billy Beer wasn't exactly a hit with critics. This ordinary American lager struggled to compete with established brands. Moreover, some found the association with the presidency tacky. By 1978, Falls City Brewing Company closed down, and Billy Beer disappeared along with it. Although a short-lived fad, Billy Beer remains a reminder of a peculiar moment in American pop culture and political history.
Isn't that something? Now Lucky opens without an opener.
Number 11. Lucky Lager. Lucky Lager, a California classic, was brewed by the Lucky Lager Brewing Company, founded in San Francisco in 1933. This light, easy-drinking lager quickly gained popularity on the West Coast, especially during the post-war economic boom. Their iconic advertising campaign featuring the cartoon character Lucky the Leprechaun helped solidify brand recognition. However, Lucky Lager's fortunes changed hands in the 1980s when it was acquired by the Miller Brewing Company. Miller's focus shifted away from Lucky Lager, and production eventually ceased in the early 2000s. Despite this, Lucky Lager is still fondly remembered by many West Coast beer drinkers, and there have been rumors of a possible comeback in recent years. In fact, in 2019, the Pabst Brewing Company announced that Lucky Lager brand would be revived with a new recipe brewed by the 21st Amendment Brewery in San Leandro, California. This attempted revival shows the enduring legacy of Lucky Lager and the desire for its return among some consumers.
When you thirst for something wet, cold, and delicious, open a can or bottle of National Bohemian Beer. So light, so refreshing.
Number 12. National Bohemian, or Natty Boh. National Bohemian, or Natty Boh for short, was a Baltimore staple the National Brewing Company brewed. Established in 1885, National Bohemian was a true Marylander, a classic American lager known for its smooth taste and reasonable price. By the 1970s, Natty Boh was undeniably a regional powerhouse, with nearly 90% of its sales concentrated in Baltimore. Natty Boh wasn't shy about its Baltimore pride. Their iconic one-eyed mustachioed mascot, Mr. Boh, embodied the city's blue-collar spirit.
National Bohemian. Oh boy, what a beer!
The brewery sponsored local sports teams at events, further strengthening its connection with the community. However, by the 1970s, the National Brewing Company faced increased competition from national brands. The company was sold in 1975 and production shifted away from Baltimore. While Natty Boh is still brewed today under contract by Pabst Brewing Company, it no longer has the same local character. With the last sips of Natty Boh evoking memories of Baltimore's blue-collar charm, did Grain Belt Beer's journey through Minnesota's brewing history parallel Natty Boh's regional rise and subsequent evolution.
Then you pour a bone-chilling glass of Grain Belt Beer.
Number 13. Grain Belt Beer. Grain Belt Beer, a Minnesota legend, was originally brewed by the Minneapolis Brewing Company, formed in 1890 through the merger of 4 smaller breweries. Their signature brew, Grain Belt Golden Lager, was a hit right from the start in 1893. This easy-drinking golden lager, a nod to the state's agricultural heritage, quickly became the company's flagship product. Despite its early success, the Minneapolis Brewing Company wasn't immune to industry hardships. Prohibition temporarily forced them to halt production in the 1920s, and competition intensified in the following decades. While Grain Belt remained popular regionally, especially in Minnesota, the brewery closed its doors in 1975. Nevertheless, the story of Grain Belt doesn't end there. In 2002, the August Shell Brewing Company, another Minnesota brewer with a long history, purchased the Grain Belt brand. They revived production and expanded the offerings beyond the classic golden lager. Today, Grain Belt enjoys a renewed popularity, particularly within Minnesota, and serves as a reminder of the deep brewing roots of the North Star State.
You can taste the difference.
What a difference.
In the cleaner, fresher, true beer flavor of Crystal Goble Beer.
Number 14. Goble Beer. Once a Detroit king, Goble Beer was brewed by the Goble Brewing Company, founded in 1873 by German immigrant August Goble Sr. Goble quickly became a leader in Detroit's booming brewing scene. Their brew was a dry, light lager, perfect for the working-class city. Their slogan, "From the Cypress Cask of Goble," highlighted their commitment to quality.
What a happy thought. Go Goble. Go Goble.
Goble's popularity peaked in the 1950s, sponsoring local sports teams and becoming a beloved part of Detroit culture. However, the 1960s brought a turning point. A switch in brewers and a shift in consumer taste towards lighter beers hurt sales. Goble struggled to compete with national brands. In 1964, their Detroit rival, Stroh's, acquired the Goble Brewing Company. Although Goble remained available, production eventually ceased entirely in 2005. As the memories of Goble Beer's heyday in Detroit linger, did Drury's beer, with its Midwestern charm and Canadian roots, face a fate similar to Goble's rise and fall?
Every single drop of Drury's beer is brewed and mellowed an exclusive controlled way.
Number 15, Drury's Beer. Drury's Beer, a Midwestern favorite with Canadian roots, was brewed by Drury's Brewing Company. Originally established in 1877 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, as the Lake of the Woods Brewery by E.L. Drury, it crossed the border in style. Drury's extra dry lager became a major player, especially throughout the Midwest, by the 1930s after Prohibition had ended. They capitalized on their Canadian heritage with a red-coated Mountie mascot on their label, a symbol that stuck around for decades. Drury's success stemmed from its focus on a clean, crisp lager and affordability. It became a go-to choice for many working-class beer drinkers.
Drury's Beer, a perfect balance between flavor and lightness. Drury's Beer, more flavor.
However, by the 1970s, the American beer industry became more competitive. Lighter lagers and flashier brands took center stage. Drury struggled to keep pace, and ownership changed hands several times. The final blow came in the 1970s during the Beer Wars, a period of intense competition and consolidation within the brewing industry. Drury's production in South Bend, Indiana ceased in 1972, and the brand eventually faded away in the early 2000s. In recent years, there have even been whispers of a possible revival, keeping the dream alive for a return to this Canadian-born American lager.
Fall City's a light-bodied beer that's brewed for full flavor. Compare the taste, compare the price. You'll pick a city.
Number 16, Falls City Beer. Falls City Beer, a Kentucky staple with a short but splashy run, was brewed by the Falls City Brewing Company established in Louisville in 1864. Falls City was a major player in the regional market by the 1970s, especially popular for its easy-drinking American lager. Their iconic Little Colonel mascot, a dapper gentleman with a cane, became a familiar sight in Kentucky.
Well, my bartender is E.P. Sutton, and he recommends Falls City.
Falls City wasn't afraid to be playful. In the late 1970s, they rode a wave of unexpected fame with the launch of Billy Beer, a brand endorsed by Billy Carter, brother of then-President Jimmy Carter. While Billy Beer itself wasn't a major hit, it put Falls City in the national spotlight for a brief period. However, Falls City's success ultimately couldn't overcome industry trends. The focus on lighter beers and consolidation among larger breweries took its toll. By the late 1970s, Falls City Brewing Company faced financial difficulties and eventually shut down entirely in 1978.
Blitz Weinhard, from the oldest brewery in the West.
Number 17, Blitz Weinhard Beer. Blitz Weinhard, a Pacific Northwest icon with a twist, was brewed by the Blitz Weinhard Brewing Company. Founded in 1852 in Portland, Oregon by German immigrant Leopold Blitz, the company merged with Harry Weinhard's brewery in 1878. Their signature brew was the Blitz Weinhard Premium Lager, a light and crisp beer perfect for the region's climate. Blitz Weinhard was undeniably a major player in the Pacific Northwest by the 1970s. Their commercials featuring the catchy jingle, "I want to be a Blitz man," solidified brand recognition and tied it to a sense of rugged individualism. What truly set Blitz Weinhard apart was their use of Oregon hops, giving their beer a unique flavor profile that resonated with local drinkers. The 1980s shifted the industry, with national brands pushing for wider distribution. Blitz Weinhard, focused on the Pacific Northwest, struggled to compete. The company was eventually acquired by the Stroh Brewery Company in 1989, and production of Blitz Weinhard beer ceased altogether in the early 2000s. There have even been rumors of a comeback in recent years, with craft brewers taking inspiration from Blitz Weinhard's focus on Oregon hops.
Beer? Yes. Oregon, sir, is the home of Blitz Weinhard.
The echoes of Blitz Weinhard's rugged Pacific Northwest spirit linger, but did Haffenreffer Private Stock, with its enigmatic allure and smooth taste, face a fate similar to Blitz Weinhard's regional prominence and subsequent disappearance?
Beer, beer, beer. No, it's time for a change.
You want a change of pace?
Yeah, something really special.
Number 18, Hafen-Reffer Private Stock. Hafen-Reffer Private Stock, a malt liquor with a mysterious allure, was brewed by the Hafen-Reffer Brewery in Jamaica Plain, Boston. Founded in 1820, Hafen-Reffer was a well-established brewery, but Private Stock, launched in 1953, took a different route. Unlike most malt liquors, Private Stock wasn't shy about its ingredients. Their marketing often highlighted its private formula and long-age brewing process, creating an air of intrigue. Nicknames like the Green Death and Head Wrecker added to the beer's mystique, suggesting a potent brew. However, Hafen-Reffer Private Stock wasn't all about strength. It offered a smoother taste than some competitors, making it a more approachable option for malt liquor drinkers. Despite its popularity, the brand changed hands several times throughout the 1980s and 90s. With a shift in consumer preferences toward lighter beers, Hafen-Reffer Private Stock eventually faded from production in the early 2000s. Even though it's gone, Hafen-Reffer Private Stock holds a special place in the memories of some beer drinkers, particularly those who enjoyed its unique taste and the lore surrounding it. In recent years, there might have even been rumors of a possible return, suggesting that the Green Death might not be gone for good.
Crisp and clean cut to the taste.
Number 19, Hamm's Beer. Hamm's Beer, cherished in the Midwest for its extensive heritage, was crafted by the Theodore Hamm's Brewing Company, founded in 1865 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Renowned for its American pale lager style, Hamm's boasted a smooth taste and a harmonious blend of malt and hops. During the 1970s, Hamm's Beer surged in popularity, standing tall among America's beloved brews. It held a prominent position as one of the nation's top-selling beers, annually distributing millions of barrels. Its iconic marketing campaigns starred the animated Hamm's Bear, an innovative mascot in the beer realm, delighting in nature and serenading audiences with the memorable Land of Sky Blue Waters jingle.
Refreshingly yours from the land of sky blue waters.
Nevertheless, by the late 1990s, Hamm's Brewing Company had undergone an acquisition by the brewing conglomerate InBev. With InBev's focus veering away from Hamm's Beer, it eventually ceased production in the early 2000s.
Hey, any of you overpaid, underworked people want a beer?
Introducing Meisterbrau. Tastes as good as Budweiser at a better price.
Number 20, Meisterbrau Beer. Meisterbrau, once a budget-friendly favorite, was brewed by the Miller Brewing Company. Launched in 1965, it wasn't born from a rich brewing history, but rather created to compete with the growing popularity of cheap beers. Meisterbrau wasn't known for its fancy flavors or high-quality ingredients. It was a straightforward American lager, prioritizing affordability over complexity. Their marketing wasn't shy about this either, often promoting Meisterbrau as the quality full-calorie budget beer.
Meisterbrau. It only tastes expensive.
However, by the 1990s, consumer taste shifted towards lighter beers and more diverse flavors. The no-frills approach of Meisterbrau started to look dated, sales slumped, and the Miller Brewing Company, by then focusing on its core brands, decided to discontinue Meisterbrau in the late 1990s.